Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to be going over the Global Icons insert set, which is the first insert set from the 2021 UFC Panini Select set. Now, this is an awesome set of 25 different cards, and they feature the fact that the UFC is a global sport, so each fighter is representing their country and has their country flag in it. Now, there are a lot of great hits in this set, but there are a few also that you don't necessarily want. But in this video, I'm going to take down the 25 set and reduce it to 10 to let you know the top 10 cards that you should be targeting to keep in your collection. Now, the Global Icons set is an awesome way to collect your favorite UFC players or players that, that just have a lot of upside or potential, because the set is only limited to 250 per fighter. So 250 is an extremely low mint count, and therefore, it's a great set to kind of stack, multiples of great players, and that's what I want to help you do today. Now, before we go over the top 10 cards, I'm going to give you a bonus one, and that is Alexander Gustafsson. Now, the reason it's a bonus one because this card is unlike the others in the fact that this is the only one without a base card. Alexander does not have a base card, so that makes his card particularly rare because, if there's any fans of him or people who want to have his card, they have to go buy the 250 mint count global icon card. So that additional rarity makes it worth noting. And he's also, a fairly well-known person. This would have been an extremely high card if this was like 2013, 2014. So what you should know about him is in 2013, he had a title fight against John Jones right here, and this match is widely considered as one of the greatest light heavyweight matches of all time. In fact, the UFC inducted that match into their Hall of Fame. And then the next year, EA Sports put him and John Jones on the cover of their very first UFC video game. So he has an 18-7 record, and he spent most of his career in the light heavyweight division. He's now fighting in heavyweight. As you can see, he fought in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So he's right now having about one fight per year, and he is scheduled to have a fight later this year as well. So by no means, a star right now, but because of the rarity of the card, it still is probably one that you should have in your collection. Okay, number 10 on the list is Davison Figueiredo. Now, Figueiredo would have been higher on this list, but he actually just lost the belt to Brandon Moreno in the flyweight division. But still, even though he lost the belt, he has a fantastic record: 20 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. So an incredible record, which kind of shows you, if you can take a look here, like his complete domination. Really, the only trouble has come against Moreno. You had a draw here and then lost the belt to him, but before that, just 1 other loss. So an amazing fighter, and actually the UFC in 2020 gave him the 2020 Fighter of the Year award. So he's a 2020 Fighter of the Year, he is a previous belt holder, has an amazing record, and he's number 10 on the Global Icons card list that you should have. Next up on the list is Charles Oliveira. Now, Charles Oliveira is currently the lightweight belt holder, so he does have the belt. And he really, he just had a couple amazing matches. His match against Tony Ferguson really put him on the match to dominate somebody like Ferguson, and then beating Michael Chandler, to secure the light heavyweight belt. No, sorry, not the light heavyweight belt, the lightweight belt. His stock is kind of at the highest that it's ever been after these last 2 matches. But he does have a 31-8 record, and he's been in the game a long time, and he has several different records. He has the most submission wins here in UFC history at 14, and he also has the most finishes in UFC history. Now, if you're not sure what a finish is, it means knocking someone out or submitting them, rather than going to a decision. So he's been in there a while, has a great record, has the belt, and he's number 9 on the list of fighters that you should have in your collection. Number 8 on the list is Alexander Volkanovski. Now, he has a lot of focus on him right now because he's actually one of the host coaches of The Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter is the UFC's reality show where they scout new talent. And on each season, there are two different fighters usually that have kind of a vendetta against each other or are, next up to fight for the belt. And they put those as two coaches, and so there's a lot of focus on them. So this is season 29 of The Ultimate Fighter. And Volkanovski's one coach. Brian Ortega is the other coach, and then at the conclusion of The Ultimate Fighter, they're going to fight for the belt. Now, Volkanovski actually has the belt, so he is the current holder, and Ortega is going to try to take it away from him. Volkanovski is an extremely dominant fighter. If you take a look at his record here, 22 wins and only 1 loss way back in 2013. So just an incredible fighter, and he's also number 4 on the men's pound for pound ranking list. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that list, it basically just does away with weight class and irrespective of weight class, and just what are the top 10 men's fighters, or 15, I can't remember which one it was. And anyway, he's number 4 on that list. So Volkanovski is a great global icons card for you to have repping Australia. Number 7 on my list is Valentina Shevchenko. Now, Valentina is ranked number 2 on the women's pound for pound best women's fighters. Number 1 above her is Amanda Nunes. She has an amazing record again, 21 wins and 3 losses. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Amanda Nunes is considered the greatest women's fighter of all time, and right behind her would be Valentina. So she's definitely the number 2. Now, as you can see, she only has 3 losses, and 2 of them, both of those, 2 of the 3 losses were against Amanda Nunes. So really, that has been her only, setback or person that's kind of stood in her way. Other than that, just a phenomenal record. Hasn't had a loss besides Amanda since 2010, over a decade ago. Valentina's Global Icons card represents Kyrgyzstan, and it would be the number 7 best Global Icons card for you to have in your collection. Number 6 on the list is Francis Ngannou, also known as the Predator. And man, this dude is scary. The heavyweight limit is at 265, and dude definitely has to cut weight to get down to that, because this dude is a beast. And Francis Ngannou is he actually has the world record for the hardest punch. Just an insane guy, built like a tank, knocks people out with a punch. Just a crazy fun guy to watch, and has become a real favorite for his fast knockouts. And so he actually is the heavyweight champion as well. In addition to that, he is number 5 ranked on the men's pound for pound best fighters ranking list. And his global icon card represents his home country of Cameroon. Number 5 on my list is Amanda Nunes. Amanda is actually one that I find difficult to rank. If you're going to separate the men's from the women's, it's obviously easy. She's number 1 in every list. But when you combine men and women's into the same list, it's a little bit more difficult to rank her. In some people's lists, she'd probably be as high as number 3. But on this one, she's number 5. So Amanda holds 2 different belts. She holds the women's bantamweight belt and the women's featherweight belt, and she's the number 1 pound for pound women's fighter, and like I said, undisputed best women's fighter of all time as well. Let's go down to her record. She has 21 wins and 4 losses, and doesn't have a loss since back in 2014. Extremely dominant, and her card will represent the country of Brazil. The 4th best Global Icons card that you need to have in your collection is Israel Adesanya. Now, Israel Adesanya is the current middleweight belt holder. Shouldn't actually say current, because almost nobody's taking the belt from him. He's defended it quite a lot, and that belt's been his for a while. He has a record of 21 wins and 1 loss. Now, the thing you need to know about that 1 loss is it was against Jan Blachowicz. And Jan Blachowicz is also a belt holder in the light heavyweight division. So Israel is so dominant You know, like he was undefeated before this match, so dominant, and he decided to go up a weight class to fight someone heavier than him without putting on extra weight. And you know, just to challenge himself. I guess he's getting so bored of winning. So he actually did end up losing. You know, Jan kind of put him on the ground, and you know that extra weight kept him on the ground so that Israel couldn't get up. But you know, props to him for trying. So I hope that just kind of explains a little bit about how dominant he is. And before this, by the way, he's a professional kickboxer, and his kickboxing record pro is 75 wins, 5 losses. So an extremely dominant fighter. And by the way, he's also on the cover of the UFC 4 video game from EA Sports, which is the latest UFC game, alongside Jorge Masvidal. They both share the cover together. Israel is the number 3 ranked men's top pound for pound fighter, and his global icon card will represent his home country of New Zealand. The number 3 global icons card you need in your collection is Kamaru Usman. Now, Kamaru is the current welterweight champ as well, and just like Israel Adesanya, extremely dominant. He's had the belt for a while, and you know, no signs of him losing that as well. He's actually undefeated in the UFC, and just like I mentioned with Volkanovski, who's the coach of The Ultimate Fighter, Usman came into the UFC as the winner of season 21 of The Ultimate Fighter. Nickname is the Nigerian Nightmare, and his card is going to represent Nigeria. And he has a dominant 19-1 mixed martial arts record. His one loss all the way back in 2013. Now, Kamaru is ranked as the number 2 men's pound for pound best fighters as well. Now, the second best card you need of the global icon set is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, I'm sure even if you don't watch the UFC, you've heard of him. That's because he's like the LeBron James or the Mike Trout of MMA. He's the biggest star that the sport has, and is even big outside of the sport. In 2021, actually, Forbes has him as the highest paid athlete. So that big, and definitely, you know, is the card that you absolutely want to have in this set, no matter which set you're talking about, whether it's the base cards or anything else. You can't go wrong collecting Conor McGregor cards. Now, as far as a martial artist, though, he previously has held 2 belts at the same time. He doesn't have a belt currently, but he used to have the featherweight and the lightweight belt at once. And his record is 22-6, I believe. Let's just go double check. 22-6. Yeah, he's been on the cover of numerous, video games. The one thing about Conor, though, and he actually just has an injury right now as well, where he just broke his leg during the last match against Dustin Poirier. But out of the last 6 matches, he has 4 losses. So a lot of his dominance came earlier in his career. He has kind of had some difficulty lately. You know, some of that, some people say, you know, when a person has lots and lots of money, you know, maybe they don't train as hard, or they don't have that same hunger. That's not what the point of this video is, but the point is to let you know that kind of he hasn't been doing as well lately, but it hasn't necessarily taken away from his star power as well. So although he might not be the greatest, he's definitely not the greatest MMA fighter right now, he's still the biggest name in MMA, and you still definitely want to have his card, including his global icon card. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is anyone above Conor McGregor in this set? But no, number 1 I do have as Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, you may be wondering, why is he above Conor McGregor? And the reason is because Khabib is actually the challenge card of the set. Now, if he still only had the 250 print run, he would be 1 underneath Conor. That is a fact. But because it's a challenge card, and at this time the challenge is still going, so we don't know the full run, but it will be significantly less than 250. So because of the rarity, he does take an edge over Conor. Now, don't just think it's just because it is a lower mint count, because Khabib is an absolute legend. And I just want to show you how dominant he is in case you're unfamiliar with him. So first off, Khabib retired earlier this year, and he is one, I'm not sure if anyone's ever done it, maybe there might have been one other, but he retired undefeated. 29-0 on top of the game. Never has felt defeat. You should also know that UFC 229 here against Conor McGregor, that was the highest selling UFC pay-per-view of all time. And so, you know, the best-selling pay-per-view, Khabib was one of the headliners. And actually, he beat Conor McGregor in that. So, retired undefeated, part of the best-selling UFC pay-per-view of all time, has a win over Conor McGregor. And on top of that, he is the longest lightweight champion in the history of the UFC at 1,077 days. The dude, nobody was taking the belt away from him. For somebody to have to come in, and by the way, Charles Oliveira holds that spot right now. The only way for somebody to come in and take that belt from him was for Khabib to retire because he's that good. No one was doing it. So Khabib, you know, absolute dominant fighter, amazing. Everybody's going to want him, and he also has the shortest print run in this set, and therefore takes the #1 spot of global icon cards that you need to have in your set. Okay guys, hopefully that was helpful. I want to keep doing these for all these different sets. If you like them, let me know. And as always, you know, I know these are subjective lists. Some of you guys might disagree. If you disagree, why don't you let me know? Tell me who you would, you know, which order you'd rearrange them or who you'd swap in and out. I love having this discussion. I love talking UFC, and I love hearing from you guys. Okay guys, until next time, hopefully that was helpful. Peace out.